Shadow People, and the Hunt for Peldocia.
Necronomicon is coming.
So, something that's near and dear to my heart and kind of on my vendetta list is Shadow People. For those of you that probably don't know about Shadow People, although I'm pretty sure anybody watching this video would kind of have an idea, they are supposed to be spirits of unnatural origin that appear out of the corners of your eye, or if you're lucky enough to see them, you can actually catch full vision of them and they quickly fleet away. They really don't like to be seen, and whatever they're up to, nobody really knows. When I was at my college, I had an entire 2 months where I experienced shadow people quite a bit. I experienced a lot of followings from shadow-like beings at night, and I even had dreams that I was trying to track one down and one was coming after me, kind of a cat and mouse game. So walking around at night between the hours of 12 and 5 a.m., I would make laps around the residential area on my campus. And as I was walking around, there was no one else out there, not even animals, except for one night when there was a skunk the second I walked out of my front door. Kind of froze. Walking around doing the same laps, I was able to recognize all of the different shadows from the light, from the street lights and things, but clearly things were moving around the buildings, and you kind of got that elevator feeling, or it's being cramped. Sometimes you kind of just know that something is there. Part of the reason why I think I experienced this was because, and I've read about this in different books, when you begin to work with magic, it kind of sends off like a beacon of light because you begin to manipulate those energies. And different spirit beings tend to feed off of that kind of thing. And so they are attracted to your misuse and your not exactly high-skilled usage of magic. And they can kind of pester you until you get a hang of it. I think that this is also kind of why it tends to scare people off. I've seen a lot of different stories of people where they begin to do some spell work, or they work with a Ouija board, or they do some tarot, and then something negative happens, or they have a haunting, so they get scared of it, and they renounce witchcraft and return to Christ. I wouldn't recommend it. There's much more fulfillment, in my opinion, of having a spiritual path where you get to take the power and where you get to create your own reality, rather than just praying that something will turn around for you. Go for it and do it yourself. So those weird dreams that I had, I would go to sleep at night, usually around 11:30 or so, and I'm the kind of person that doesn't remember a lot of their dreams, but for those 3 months, or maybe about I would say a month and a half, during that summer, I remembered every single one of my dreams, and it was extremely vivid, where I would be on the computer and I'd be watching some surveillance footage from ATM cameras, or cameras at gas stations or convenience stores, and I'd be looking at Google Maps, and I can't remember all of the different details, but I know that I would be on the computer, and then I would be driving around, and it would be late at night, and I would go to those different places that I was looking at on the computer, after seeing some footage of different shadows moving, and I would be looking for something, and it would kind of emulate me walking around at night, where I would be walking around, going around in my dreams, and turning and seeing different things. And like I said, cat and mouse, where either I would be trying to see it, or it would be trying to see me. And this culminated with a third-person view dream, which only lasted probably about 30 seconds, where the camera view was directly across from my bed. It would have been on top of my refrigerator in the dorm room, and it was looking at the bed, and I saw something standing at the foot of my bed which was a very tall figure with kind of a little bit shapeless. I mean, you could call it hair that would be like coming down here, so you couldn't exactly see a defined shoulder line, but you could see that they were kind of hunched over on the side as they were standing up, looking directly at me. And then everything just faded to black and I woke up. One thing about the time that I was waking up, it was usually around like 3:13 a.m. every night, regardless of when I went to sleep. And it was that sudden feeling of being awake, none of the groggy feelings. And I would just end up walking outside. I had to kind of walk off the jitters or trying to make myself more tired, and I would go to sleep probably maybe 3 hours later, sleep for an hour, and then be completely awake. I'd go to class, I'd go back to the library, or I'd go to the bookstore, and I would continue to read the books. One of the main books that I was focusing on while I was there was I think it's called Mastering Witchcraft by Paul Husson. I think it was published in 1962, and they had a hardcover copy that is now mysteriously missing from that library. I've actually gone back and checked on it. Luckily enough, I was able to find a free version of it on PDF. So I was able to print that out, stick it in plastic pages, and still read it. It was a very general book that talked about using planetary squares or creating a mandrake or some rules about designing a coven and working with people. I've never been much of a group practitioner of any sort. I mean, I do participate in rituals for the Sabbats with a group in my area, but I don't really partake in group rituals or like monthly meetings of, oh, let's see what we can do today to better everybody's situation. I like to go on independently. So you're probably a little bit puzzled at the intro when I said the hunt for Peldosha. Peldosha is a name that I gave to that spirit that I was tracking down, and the one that ended up finding me at the end of those series of dreams that lasted a couple of weeks. The name Peldosha I kind of got from the same way that you would make a sigil with the Rose Cross method or any other artistic method where you take the word that you are, a word or a sentence that describes your goal. You eliminate all the repeating letters, and then you kind of create an artistic design using those letters, like overlaying certain lines and creating your own sigil that way. You could probably look up some videos for that on YouTube. I might even make one later. So I took the word shadow people and I cut out the repeating letters, and then I kind of scrambled them to make a word that kind of sounded, rolled off the tongue a little bit. And so that's how I came up with Peldosha. Like I said in one of my other videos, if you don't know the name of a spirit, you name it yourself until you might find out their name. And so that spirit that was following me, I gave the name Peldosha. I don't like to leave things in my life unturned, and I don't like to leave things in my life without an answer, and I like to close the book on things. So basically, I still consider myself to be a little bit on the hunt for whatever the heck it was that was following me and whatever gave me those dreams. That's why I'm really interested in paranormal investigation, in evocation, in banishings, in exorcisms, because I've experienced all of those things. And so I'm really trying hard to have another experience with shadow people. There have been a couple of times in my house when I've seen them. I haven't seen them around here lately, but I kind of, if that kind of activity ticks back up, I'm gonna try to see what I can do about it to see if I can uncover some more answers. So working with the Necronomicon has kind of given me a couple of benefits with this idea that I have of wanting to learn more about shadow people. For one thing, when you start working with the Necronomicon, I've mentioned before about how paranormal activity in your house or around you will go up, and I guess part of me kind of wanted that to occur because there was kind of a lull in the paranormal activity that was going on in my house, and so it kind of opened the door a little bit more for different things to come through so I could try to understand it. Although, when you work with the Necronomicon and are doing rituals and you hear noises or have weird smells or different things outside of the circle that you're working in, the Necronomicon describes those as being alu, which are hellhounds, as far as I can tell, where those guys will try to be around the circle and they will try to break in, or they will feed off the energy that you are generating while you're in ritual. The other things that it could be would be the Igigi or the Watchers, because they also like that kind of energy. To protect yourself against those, that's why you would summon the Watcher during rituals, and which I have, and on one occasion I actually did see mine. The second time that I summoned it, there was a black mass in the corner of the room that didn't give me any sense of discomfort. It was actually more of a protective feeling. So I guess you could say that Watchers could kind of be seen as shadow people in a way. I mean, they might have the same visage to me, they might have the same visage to anybody else that works with them, but that's also why I think anybody that is interested in trying the book should try it. When it comes to working your way through the entire system of the Necronomicon with the gate walking and then being able to use the Aurelia text to do some summoning, that's the point that I am at now, where I have not yet, but I will be getting into using the Aurelia text to do some summoning, to try to evoke more spiritual activity, because I think that, doing all the different reading that I have done with all of my different books, that's the classwork, and now I kind of have some homework to do where I take that knowledge and I apply it through evocations and through going to different haunted places and really putting my skills to the test. I really don't think that evoking spirits can be dangerous as long as you know what you're doing and you've studied up and you have a good balance of your own energy and of your own willpower, and I think I'm getting to that point. So through my working with the Necronomicon and others, and the other knowledge that I've gained from different systems, such as the Goetia, and I never really think I pronounced that right, I think that I'm going to be getting to a point where I'll be able to maybe evoke some shadow people to try to get some answers from them. So that's how the Necronomicon ties into this, because I don't think I would be at the point that I am spiritually or have the right set of skills to be able to embark on such a mission, I guess you could call it. So hopefully, if I'm able to get some results on this aspect of my life, this little vendetta, then I will be able to grow in my knowledge and probably share some results. One disclaimer is that I would never try to videotape a ritual, and I know that there's a lot of people that are like, well, if magic is real, why don't you just videotape a summoning? For one thing, there are the kind of mysteries that people learn as they work through magical systems, and I believe that everybody has to go through that. Nobody really shows off the different skills that they have. They can share the knowledge of them, but like a magician never reveals his greatest secrets, and that's where I'm at, and I'm also going to stick to that. But if I get any more activity in my house, I will probably end up sharing it on my YouTube channel, and if I get any hauntings or any results, I will probably also share those. But don't look for a videotaped ritual or pictures, mainly just anecdotal.